Okay, so we left off with what individuals and groups have important outcomes, and I just talked about Miguel and the school district. And the reason for Miguel is because it's his future and it's his education and the school district, because we need to make sure that we have that trust between the school and the community because they pay for the funds. Um, Now, if we go and talk about the if all relevant stakeholders have been consulted, when looking at the case, I believe that not all stakeholders have been consulted in this situation. It doesn't mention anything about the conversation between the superintendent. It just mentions his name. So I think that is a conversation that should have happened. And then also the school board. They should have been known about the issue, just in case we need to look at funding issues to make something work. And then, of course, making sure that all schools in Dover School District are ADA accessible, and getting community members on board. Otherwise, the district's going to face lots of lawsuits and have a lack of funding from the community. Continuing on, can I learn more about the situation? I feel like you can learn more about any situation, but this one specifically, that burning question I had is I want to know what the meeting with Ms. Guzman the first time was, what occurred in that meeting, what was discussed as far as, and if there was a schedule change even discussed. It's puzzling to me on why she would make the decision based on all the laws that we have to abide by for state and federal level. And has she made calls like this before? And what is the process in making this choice for her? I just want to know what she was thinking. And then I want to know more about the status of the high school building being updated. Was this situation avoidable because of all the updates and them almost being finished in that wing? How long is it going to take to finish? I also want to know about the science teachers and what their input is on the situation. Sometimes when you talk to teachers who are in the trenches, they can give more realistic options than what administrators think of. And so I want to get their take in on the situation and see if they're even willing to move. Is there a way that we can make it work so that way their students can come to them? And then I just want to know, as a principal, are we getting our schools updated district wide? Because we don't want this to become a recurring event. And then finally, do I have enough information to make a decision? I personally believe I do, because of all the facts that were presented and then the laws of ADA and FAPE, and I can make an ethical-based decision to resolve this problem. So section 6 is looking at all the options. So the first option is taking no action, and the Hernandez family, with the Hernandez family and not accommodating their need. This could be a horrible decision because I would be facing a discriminatory lawsuit, especially since I already know that they have a lawyer present. So that's just kind of like a sitting trap. And it's not appropriate to make decisions without having the superintendent in on the decision. And it could have just a ripple effect on my position. It could make it look like I just don't care about a child's education. Option 2 is that comprehensive plan. As a principal, I could decide to apologize, which I would plan to do anyways, about him and the confusion with the whole science requirement and courses, and then present that the science teachers could travel for the remainder of the semester to the students in a transitional way. And that way, hopefully, in that second semester, our building will be updated and we'll be able to actually put them in the classroom. The other option, I had a couple of other ideas. I could continue, like I've just said before, to apologize, and then look and see if there's something we can do as far as an online biology class. Maybe we could even have them Zoom into the current class until our building is fixed. I also thought about having the maintenance department kind of look at this problem and see if there's a way that we could like build a door like on a different like on the outside of the classroom in, so he's not having to go through the hallways, but it would be like maybe an emergency exit, especially if we don't have one of those in that classroom. Fire safety and making sure that we've got what we need. The other option I thought of was having that biology class in a different location within the school, or a location close to the school but not on campus. I know that we've had to be creative with COVID, and we moved our students um, to a different location within the community, and it was helpful because we were able to be spaced out, and it was accessible because we had an elevator. So that would just be another idea. So section 7 is evaluating all my options, the pros and cons of all. So if I do nothing at all, we'll be forced to comply and be in it to win it for the future with ADA compliance. The con is we'll find lots of discrimination lawsuits, and because we didn't take any action, there's going to be that rift between the community and the school district because we have that negative media of we're not taking care of students and their education. And then ultimately Miguel and his future will suffer because he's not set up for the college path he wants to take, and doesn't have that science credit. Option 2 is that comprehensive plan. The positive would be that we'd be providing him FAPE. The rift of the relationship between the Hernandez family and the school could be fixed with an apology and hopefully addressing that ADA issue. It'll allow for us to understand the high school timeline for the compliance issues for the future and provide a temporary solution until that long-term solution can be adjusted to fit the problem. The con is time is going to be not on our side if they ran into issues as far as construction or vice versa whenever you're doing buildings and updating buildings. We are not out of the wood as far as a lawsuit because the parents could still be mad and want to pursue, which is not going to be helpful for us. And then teachers could feel extra stressed or not have feel supported in the solution, having to have a movable classroom. Section 3 are the other options. The pros are that Miguel could still get his credit needed for post-secondary class, and he has the possibility to be with peers in a learning environment. The cons, that lawsuit's still on the table. Other students, their education can be messed up because of the arrangements and changing and not knowing where to go and when to go. Then the whole ADA mess. Within our high school, but also in the other schools. And then the finished construction, that time piece. If we go with the maintenance way, do we have the money to, bash in a door to make a makeshift door so that way Miguel can attend class? Choosing the best option, I think option 2 is the best because it's appropriate, it has logistics behind it, and it's getting Miguel what he deserves, that FAPE. I would need a few days to work on getting the teachers to migrate to the students for class. I'd need to make sure that Miguel has access to that room. I would need to know the selection of the decision and know that there's some steps before getting to the solution to the situation with parents. I'd have to have a sit-in with the Hernandez family and Guzman to discuss Miguel's return. That's what I would have liked to have done before. And then find out that he was going to be wheelchair bound and make necessary plans 2 weeks before he was coming. And then I would also reach out to Dr. Harvey and notify him that the school has to make some plans and I need his input. And these plans are just a temporary basis until we can get that biology location open and ready. And regardless of changing how the situation would have been handled from the beginning, I still think option 2 is the best. How can the decision be implemented with the greatest care and attention to the concern of all stakeholders? I think the decision to inform my superintendent is vital. I think that being able to meet with him and to discuss the scenario and provide my opinion should matter on guiding the solution that is justifiable. I would believe that all of my stakeholders will be consulted because I'd be meeting with them, and I just want them to all be aware and be on the same page, so that way we don't have any some more surprises or issues within this problem that's already existing. And then have I identified creative options? I think I've addressed several creative options, but I do think option 2 is the most logical. And then we always have plan B if we need it, which is on this next page or this page after. So implementing, I will get in touch with all stakeholders and give them appropriate information and the appropriate solution. And I will be meeting with Councilor Guzman to know the specifics of the first meeting and to inform the superintendent. I will also meet with him to discuss the situation and the possible solutions. I will review Miguel's current class schedule, switch his biology class to a different location so that teachers are able to come to him and teach him. And then I would look for a different location to hold biology class, or see if you can go to the community space if that first plan doesn't work. And then if that doesn't work, we can also look at having Miguel Zoom in have him go on the computer and Zoom in attend via Zoom. Holy cow. As a temporary fix until we can get him into the actual location. Then I'd host a meeting with Hernandez family and just give him a formal apology of the chaos that unraveled, and have the superintendent with me and discuss legalities and how we can work to agreement, so that way we don't have to pursue due process and we want it to be done in an ethical way. After that meeting and plan agreement, then we would meet with the science teacher to discuss what was proposed and see how we can get all the logistics figured out. Then I work with the superintendent and school board to make sure that we have all the ADA issues taken care of for all buildings, so that way other colleagues don't have to deal with the issues that I'm dealing with, and make sure that we're compliant by the state and federal laws. And then finally, I would touch base and reach out with Miguel and his family to do a check-in after the plan to make sure it's working, and make sure that we don't have any other students. I want to reflect to make sure all of my other students aren't having issues with the disabilities they have, and that they're getting the appropriate education that they need. And then if I needed a plan B, because heaven prevail, plan A falls through, I would already have the reflection done, but I think I would still continue to apologize to the family, and then I would work closely with Counselor Guzman and see if there's a way that we could have him attend another school outside of our district, but our budget pay for it, and maybe even offer some tutoring services if Miguel needs it, since we're offering this new course, just to show that we really want the best for Miguel. And then here's my standard correlation. I'm not going to read it because it's kind of long, but this is that. Here's my relevancy for this assignment as well. And then here is my reflection. And I just put in there that I was able to this assignment allowed me to make decisions as a future leader with the challenges we face, and that I was able to advocate, support, and find equitable access to the educational resources. And I had to figure out a way to handle it. And I always had to communicate. Sometimes the lack of communication can make transitions poorly. And I was able to think critically and use the accountability for my choice when handling decisions, and it allowed me to use my expertise in implementing those decisions for student learning. And I was able to discuss how to keep communication open and collaborate. My main goal is to make sure that I have equitable, inclusive environments for all students. If you have any questions, let me know. Here are my references. And that's it. Thank you so much.